Hello guys, and welcome back to a brand new Satisfactory Update 5 guide, and today we're going to be looking at new ways that we can diversify and potentially improve the way our factories look thanks to new buildables in Update 5 and some of the tips that you can use to do that, which you may not have thought about. So we're going to jump straight into it, but if you do find this video helpful, please do drop a thumbs up. It really does help this video get out to more people who may find it useful. And why not subscribe if you do enjoy this, because I release guides weekly on Satisfactory as well as some cool Fan Factory Fridays and other stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and I might as well seeing as it's in front of me, is using the customizer tool to blend different wall types. As you can see here, we're using metal walls, we're also using the normal walls and the concrete, and you can create some quite interesting looks just flipping between the three of these, which is done by pressing X and going through to the wall materials. You can do this also with the foundations, as you can see we've already done here as well. Now to get these, you do need to go to the shop, and in the shop you can actually purchase them. If we go here, place this down, most of the new things, in fact pretty much all of them, are found here. But importantly, in the customizer section, we have all of these, which will allow us to change the resources that we use for foundations, walls and roofs as we please. The next thing that I wanted to talk about before we move on from walls is actually still with walls. If we go down to the glass section, this is one of the materials that has a unique property, let's say, to it, which actually allows us to take other walls, which we've already got, and actually clip through them. Now, this may not sound like much, but it actually allows us to do some pretty cool things. For example, if we grab these triangles here, so we'll start off with the bottom, we can create some little shapes, especially if we combine that with the other straight. We can actually clip into that this side and do the same here. This can give us some interesting window designs should we wish, as you can see I've done over in my main factory. I highly recommend playing again with the materials that are used, as well as the glass fronts as well. As you can see here, we're using the steel front along with the glass, but also we can swap it to concrete, and that in itself will change the look completely and give us another really cool look. And of course, we don't need to use walls. In fact, we can add depth using things like foundations. As you can see, I can do this here if we grab that, and also if I grab the inverse, which is over here. These can be partnered to great effect. It doesn't have to be this way at all. You could use other things as well. Another example, other than ramps, would be to use things like these diagonal pieces. For example, I use these quite a lot in my current build. I'm loving the shapes that it gives, especially when you partner them together, such as like this. And on a big build, this can look pretty awesome. Of course, this can be further improved combining all three of the previous steps that we've just talked about. Here you can see we have the glass followed by the foundations and also these walls. We even use the clipping as well. In fact, we can also change the materials should we wish to give it an even better look. With this being a small build, it may not look like much. However, when you add this all together, you can create some pretty stunning builds. What I wanted to talk about here was when building a factory, the first thing that we tend to look at is bringing power in. And so I've selected a little wall outlet up here, which is where we're going to bring our power to for this particular factory. And a cool thing that you can do to keep your power clean is just below where you've received the energy, you can actually place these beam connectors and bring a beam across. There are three different modes, so wrong one. If we grab our beam, we can then press, I've done it again, R, and we have default, diagonal, or freeform. Whenever connecting these up, go with diagonal, as it's much easier for me to get a straight line. Now we'll bring it up to about the halfway mark, and then I will continue again. That's actually not quite there. So we're just going to grab this one and we're just going to pull that across. But from here, we can keep our factories clean with power by running the power all the way across the top. Or, I mean, you could do it beneath, but I prefer on top. And then where we want to connect our power to, whether that's on the side or underneath, we can actually run these. And what I would do is have the power from the factory coming in along a mains across the top, and then connecting to the two major power points, or the ones to connect to the factory underneath. As you can see with these 6 constructors here, all the lines are out the way and really clean. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was also in regards to beams. So if we grab one of these, we'll place down a 1 meter foundation for this example, we can actually grab the beam joints and place them so they're level with the foundation. It's actually quite important because we can then grab the beam, connect it up, and this now becomes a joint for our foundation to place a wall. So for example, normally we only have these for clipping, snapping points. Well, with this, we can actually bring this across in, I guess, 50 centimeter increments. So depending on what you may want to do, you can actually separate your factories further. Another idea for beams at this point is using them as supports for your conveyor lines. This isn't something that I've personally done, or at least not yet, but I find the idea of this quite interesting nonetheless. So what you want to do for your conveyor support is to build a long line along wherever it is you're going. And imagine these are suspended, as you probably won't want to do this on the ground level. And what you need to do is make sure that the inner line is empty, and then you want to grab something like a conveyor pole. As you can see, this snaps to the beam, or you could also grab your stackable conveyor poles as well. And if you place these on these little supports or beam joints, we can create an interesting little conveyor system to run our products along on a higher position. It's just a little bit of decoration that can look pretty cool. And of course, you can actually build these up even more and mix the 2 types of beams to make them look even cooler. Now, if that wasn't enough decorational things that you can do with beams, there is one more thing that comes to mind. Now, a lot of people in my streams have asked for some kind of decorational support for these walkways, which is fair enough when you have a sprawling build. This is fine, it's just a little bridge. However, as an example, what we can do with these is if we find the middle point, we can... Oh, I think that's not quite there. If we go across to there though, that looks pretty good. What we're going to do is grab this. We're going to make sure we're on diagonal because this gives us the most control over placement. And as you can see, we can go up to here. And yes, I know this is currently going through. However, what we can now do is use this as a snapping point for our beam connectors. And underneath, along these beams, you can see this is connected. So we're going to delete that, and we're now going to replace that with another line going directly down. This means that we haven't got anything coming out, but this is, let's say, supported. The next thing that we're going to do is grab the other type of beam, and we're going to run this all the way across to the other end, where we can actually add another one of these and another support down. And should you wish, we could also add this or one of these, if it will let me. And there you go, we can have supports for our walkways now. Now this technique has to be my favorite so far. So this is going to be talking about these pillars. Now these small pillar frames are possibly the coolest thing that we have. And I'm going to show you why. So we're going to build up like this and then remove this one. I'm also going to place just on the bottom a 1 meter foundation. From here I'm going to grab a conveyor. I'm going to propose that I'm bringing items into my base, or I've just produced the resources, and I'm going to send them through, and they're going to go up to, say, this particular point in the factory. And this creates a really cool little way of doing the elevators. But even better than that, if we grab this, firstly, I should show you, it looks amazing. Watch these items go up. Look at that. Oof. Fantastic. Creates a really nice kind of supported look to our conveyors. Now, one thing that we can do is actually build a cross. This is a pretty cool system, but the problem here is that our resource bus is going to be slightly too high. And though it looks pretty cool, in fact, I wonder if we can just try it here. If we grab that, delete that. Maybe delete the one under. Let's just try it quickly. So we can build it like that. And for something like screws, that actually works perfectly. But I actually prefer lifting this up slightly. So what we're going to do is remove this one, and now we're going to add another small frame here. We're going to delete that one, and we're going to place this one along here so that it is exactly 1 meter up. Now, before we go any further, to get the exact placement, you'll notice if we grab our elevator here, it's kind of out of position. You can't really get that. However, this is where those amazing beam supports come in. We can actually find the right position underneath here. And then, like I mentioned with the conveyor idea before, grab that to create a snapping point. And from here, we can go and grab that, place that in there, and delete that. And should you wish, you can delete these. There's no need to have that. But we now have this incredibly beautiful, or at least beautiful in my mind, beautiful supported conveyor and conveyor elevator. Now don't worry, there are 2 more things that I would like to show you, but first off, if you did find that awesome, please do drop a thumbs up. It is a really cool idea, which I think you guys would love to use. But the next thing that we are going to be talking about are the new fences. So if we grab one from down here, these stripes, don't they look amazing? Don't they look like those kind of little warning stripes that you get on a step? Well, they look pretty cool, and what you can actually do is place them all the way around a foundation. Now, these look great on a second wall, or like a second level. And of course, the other thing that you can do with this, should you wish, you can actually lower this by grabbing, actually let's delete them, by grabbing these and placing them against the side. The next thing to bear in mind is we can also use these basic walls to add a little bit of a different color to the side. And should you want extra detail, we can grab our beams again and pull these across. It's a nice little idea, and as you can see here, actually covers it. It looks a bit like a seat. And the last thing that I wanted to do was show you how to do circles now in vanilla in update 5. And this is really simple. All you need to do is grab a foundation, place it on top of a current foundation, and drag it across 4. And you can actually do this the other way as well, so a further 3. And what we're going to do here is grab a wall, place that down. We're going to do the same on this side, and we're going to paint the wall concrete because it looks cool. And then we're going to delete this middle one. So we have 3 either side and the middle one's been removed. We're now going to go back to the middle, replace it, and we're going to move holding control 1 place in 1 direction. We're going to drag again another 4 places and then 3 in the other. And we're going to place this wall, and we're going to do the same over there. It's going to take a bit of time, but we're going to repeat this over and over. I'll let you see the time lapse and you'll see what happens. And here you can see the finished circle, and I've used the grip metal in the center just to create this nicer looking circle without the blinking. We can see a little bit there, but generally speaking, this is much better than it was before. Perfect. But there you are, guys. That is a good few tips that will help you create cleaner, nicer looking builds in update 5. So if you did enjoy the video, like I said, please drop a thumbs up. And obviously if you want to see more guides on things like this, or you'd like to see some of my own builds, including these tips, then by all means, please subscribe. Anyway, guys, until next time, thank you so much for watching. And special thanks, of course, goes to all of our amazing supporters who allow me to create this content, most notably our Solar Eclipse patrons, the Calamity, Cerebral Tag, and James Irwin, as well as our Lunar Eclipse patrons, Dixie Chris and Lord of July, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Papa Snoozy. Anyway, guys, until next time, as always, ciao for now.